have puppies.
You're going to have puppies? Oh, no. I'm not supposed to tell that joke anymore. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Ask the Editor with Ellen Campbell. Today, I am joined by Walt Robillard, who is a friend of Keystroke Medium and a friend of mine, and he's going to help us out. Hopefully, it'll go smoothly. And so what's on deck today, Walt?
Well, first of all, I am going to need to get stickers that says, I am a friend of Ellen. Because whether I'm watching the lady on daytime TV or I'm here on the show, I can, which I guess is also daytime TV, depending on the time zone. Everybody will know that it's me. How are you today?
I'm pretty good, all things considered.
And how is Dexter today? Because if there is no segment of what is Dexter doing, then I think I'm going to be a failure for today.
Dexter is directly behind me, chewing on, I got the greatest thing in the whole world. It's a squeaky toy, but it's ultrasonic. So he can hear it, but I can't.
That is amazing. I need this. I need a link for this.
I will get you a link for this.
I have a Belgian Maligator that loves his squeaky toys.
Yeah.
So it makes the whole podcasting thing a difficult thing.
Yes. No, I saw them just by accident. I think it was like a Chewy ad or something in my Facebook feed. And I said, what is this? What is this black magic? I must have it.
Nice. And for those who don't know, what is Dexter? What kind of dog?
Dexter, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there. I got Dexter from a rescue, but I did his DNA, and I'll be happy to give anybody the link for that if they want to see what Dexter really is. But Dexter is half Catahoula and half Australian cattle dog.
That's amazing. So a dog fast enough to herd and strong enough to herd cows, but also smart enough to do your taxes?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I gotcha. So how did you start Ask the Editor? Can you tell people a little bit about that?
Oh, well, I'm part of Keystroke Medium, but Keystroke Medium is geared more towards authors. And we wanted to give something to people that had questions. I mean, and having editing questions is very common. And people just don't know who to ask. And besides, I thought it would be fun to do a Dear Abby kind of situation.
As long as it's not a Dr. Ruth type of situation, I think we'll be okay.
I'm just afraid that if I did that, people would actually see me as old as Dr. Ruth. So.
Nonsense. You look amazing. Right. So first question comes from amazing author and all-around great guy, Rick Partlow. He says that, I know that is a filler word. When is it acceptable to use it in your manuscript? I'm
going to flip that around, Rick. It is a filler word. It's one of those words that you're going to have to use once in a while. My rule of thumb for that is if it makes sense without it, take it out. But if it sounds unnatural in your head without it, like it's a run-on sentence or something, then leave it in. You just don't want to see it 5,000 times in a 60,000 word document. You're going to have to see it once in a while. There's just no way around that.
Very nice. Very nicely put in to illustrate the point. How many different kind of crutch words do you often see? I know you're very kind to people and put out a list of most commonly used crutch words. But what are the kings of the crutch words?
Kings of the crutch words. For me, kings of the crutch words are the pointless action type words like stepping or looking, staring. People tend to use them as action beats because they want to break up their dialogue and keep the story flowing. So you end up with a book full of people standing around and staring at things, or turning and facing things, or stepping to the window and things. So anything that's synonymous with random movement, or not random movement, but movement at all: looking, staring, walking, stepping, turning, facing. Some people expand on that to include things like heartbeats and swallowing and breathing. So you have a book full of people standing around panting at each other while they're staring out windows.
So kind of like a weird German red light district thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's Hamburg in the 60s.
Thanks for the question, Rick. That's fantastic. As speaking of fantastic, we just learned part of your heritage before the little light went live. So I have to ask: is it color or color with a U?
For me,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's color, but I don't blink if you use the U, as long as you're entitled to it. You know.
So as filthy colonials, we're just being rebellious.
As filthy colonials, we won the war. So
And there's a whole holiday around that coming up.
yes, there is. My least favorite, amateur night.
Is it because of the fireworks?
It is because of the fireworks. Because I've always had dogs, and my Basenjis were terrified until they went deaf.
They hate those things.
Yeah.
They really do. So next question about editing comes from Ken McClellan. When do you do what the? When do you make a suggestion or suggest a change you know is necessary, but the author says that that's the way they meant it, or that's the way they wanted it to be?
So if I suggest a correction and you come back and say, no, stet, actually that's the word that you're looking for, is stet. That means leave my stuff alone. If it's seriously really wrong and you look like an idiot, I'm going to come back and explain it again in words of one syllable why I think it needs to change and offer suggestions for changing it. But I'm a freelance editor. I work for you. It's your decision. It's your call, always. So, but I might ask you to not credit me in your book.
So that way you can't be recognized at bars?
Hey, I just, if you're going to look like an idiot, that's great. Look like an idiot all you want, but take my name off of it.
Right on. So speaking of bars, what's the worst pickup line anybody's ever used on you?
You're not going to believe this. I still don't believe this because you'll understand.
Was this your husband that used this? And did it
work?
No.
Guy at a bar, and he's clearly drunk. And I was cocktail waitressing at the time. Walked up behind him to the waitress station. He looked over, did a double take, and said, "Baby, if you got AIDS, I know what I'm dying of."
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Yeah, I can't imagine that ever worked for him.
Did he look as bad as that comment was?
Well, he wasn't my type. Old and drunk. So yeah, that was the worst.
I don't judge.
Unless they say things like, "Baby, if you got AIDS, I know what I'm dying of."
That's terrible.
Isn't that awful?
My God, that man needs an editor. What's the genre that you personally enjoy the most?
That's so hard.
Oh my God, I broke the editor.
You broke the editor. My first love is speculative fiction, but I also like mystery. I mean, as I got older, before I was an editor, just as a reader, I went from sci-fi to mystery, and I would go back to sci-fi and back and forth in between. But even just general fiction, not literary fiction, but.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, how far one way or another do you go? Do you like like a good popcorn story where it's just like, guy gets screaming against the storm or the monster or whatever, or how deep down that rabbit hole do you go before you say, "No, I'm good"?
I don't like horror, if that helps. Horror is not my thing. Erotica, not my thing, because people are always doing it wrong.
Wait, we gotta go. We gotta go on to that one. What do you mean they're doing it wrong?
I mean, if anybody ever did that, what you just described that character doing to an actual living woman, fur would fly, yours, or people would sleep, or yeah. So
that particular question came from Mr. Devon C. Ford, which sounds either like a great Bond villain name.
Oh, it does.
And he's British too, isn't he?
He is not British, and he would not thank you for calling him British. Thank you very much. He's Cornish.
Oh, Excuse me. I'll have to apologize on FaceSpace later.
Yes, yes.
The other side of his question was, what genre do you really not enjoy? Now, we understood horror and obviously erotica. Do you have anything that tops the list?
Gay alien caterpillar porn. Male on male, gay alien caterpillar porn. And yes, yes, that's happened to me. And no, I won't answer any more questions about
it. That's not right. I don't know. I don't know where to go from there.
And I'm not telling you.
Oh my God. How does that happen? I heard on another podcast that somebody was writing Bigfoot like erotica fiction. Yeah. And I was like, how does anybody get into that?
It's not my thing, you know, but hey,
your fun is your fun.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, no, we need to not go down this rabbit hole or we're going to be here all day.
All right, moving back to the questions and hopefully back to sanity. Christiana Johnson, and I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah.
How did you get into editing professionally? Have you always done this, or did you do something else?
Well, I got my first job when I was 15, and I have worked since then. So I've had a number of jobs. How I got into editing, I was lucky. I edited a book for somebody, and people noticed, and other people asked, and it just kind of blew up from there. So.
And we see a veritable cornucopia, just because I wanted to try and say that without hurting myself, of your works behind you, including Mr. Scott Moon's Shorty.
Yes, all the way across the top. That's all mine.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And do any of these appear in bookstores, or is it all self-published work?
Yes, actually, I've got Peter Cordrin has some in bookstores. I edited a book for, you probably never heard of him, but I'm so impressed because I am such a screaming fangirl. Earl Emerson, detective fiction. Thomas Black, PI. Yeah, he's a Seattle fireman, and he's been writing for a long time. I edited his most recent book, Jackson Street.
Is that like noir style, or is it?
No, it's just kind of action. It's fun. It's funny. The situations. It's not silly funny. It's just private detective fiction. And I've been a fan of his since the 90s at least. So, and he was like I said, he was a fireman in Seattle. So,
and is he still a fireman in Seattle?
I believe that he's aged out.
Because those turnout suits get heavy.
Yeah, they do. And he also wrote the Mac Fontana series.
That one I've heard of.
Yeah, he Edgar Award nominated, Shamus Award winner, blah blah blah. Yeah,
fantastic.
So, yeah.
Now, when they win these awards, do you get to go up on stage with them, like kind of like the crew of a movie?
No, but Richard Fox promised he would take me on the Bacchanal at 20 Books this year. You know,
nice.
Where Scott Moon set his face on fire last year.
Wait a minute. How did this happen? Or does what happens in Vegas stay in Vegas?
That's how it is. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas with Richard Fox.
Totally understood. I got married in Vegas, so
my daughter got married in Vegas.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it an alien Elvis presiding over the proceedings?
I so wanted Elvis to marry her, but no, they did it at City Hall.
Speaking of City Hall, have you ever been arrested?
I have, yeah.
You care to elaborate, or will we be just held in suspense?
What was the next question?
What Paris museum is your favorite?
Oh, Musée d'Orsay is definitely my favorite in Paris.
And how many times have you been to Paris?
Couple.
And does Dexter speak French?
Dexter speaks anything with cheese.
That's amazing. I don't know where to go from that. Caught me off guard again. Let's go back to some questions. How about one for Mr. Bill Frisbee?
Okay.
Which he should totally own a dog with that name. How can you determine the quality of an editor?
Okay. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking me. If you're looking for an editor and you want to know if they're any good, I would start with getting referrals, get a sample edit, ask around, ask people who you respect and whose work you admire, who they use for editing. If you're asking if the work that you paid for was any good, I would find an editor or an experienced friend and ask if they could read a passage and see if the work is subpar.